So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So, man, after the Travis the Chimp video yesterday, bro, it just got me on that that wave, that just interested in going down that type of rabbit hole, man. Like immediately after I saw that video yesterday, I went and showed Queen. We sat right back there on that couch and watched it. I watched it again, and she had the same reaction expression I did. She just sat there in awe the entire time, just going through the timeline of events that happened with that family and that chimp, man. So it just got me, I was like, yo, today, man, we just gonna double back, bro, and just see how many, you know what I mean? Or just witness some more cases of exotic animals, man, situations going wrong. So I happened to come across They Will Kill You, the channel They Will Kill You. And surprisingly enough, they had a When Keeping Exotic Pets Goes Wrong video. So we're gonna check this one out. Seriously, bro, maybe this will reach somebody and stop them from doing something that's crazy that can affect not only themselves, but somebody else, right? So if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button, join the family, and make sure you do one thing. That's all we ask over here, bro. You'll see it all the way up and down. It makes me smile when I see it. All the way up and down the comment section, bro. Just one thing we need you to do. And I say we because we a family. Run the likes up, baby. Run them likes up. Let's go.
Unnamed Czech film.
Well, let's make sure we are there.
Number 10. Unnamed Czech filmmaker. In 2014, the member of a film crew was attacked by a pet lion in the Czech Republic while shooting a documentary at the owner's home. 53-year-old SS Basista was living with two adult lions, Alex and Mijanka, which he'd raised since they were cubs. Basista received constant complaints from his neighbors, who described the felines as killers. Nevertheless, he and his family maintained they were.
Man rescues lion and keeps them as pets in back garden amid criticism from neighbors that they are killers. This dude is 53 years old. The lions are now fully grown, but still enjoy playing. Raising the lions is controversy. Many thinks they shouldn't be owned. He believes he's preserving their species for the future, so he has conviction that he's doing the right thing. Despite criticism from neighbors, he is adamant that they are not just killers.
Weren't aggressive. Alex and Majinka were allowed to roam freely around the house, and Basista would often join them in their rough and tumble antics. As the production crew arrived at their home in Stupava, Majinka was wandering around the living room. Suddenly, she pounced on the back of a filmmaker and sank her claws into his flesh. The owners were on standby and, after a brief struggle, managed to wrestle her away. The filmmaker sustained minor flesh wounds. Even though it would have taken mere seconds for Mijanka to inflict critical injuries, Basista insisted that she was only playing. Number 9.
That's the thing though, bro. They're playing and our playing, our little, you know what I mean? I'll tussle back and forth playing. Theirs is different, bro. Like, when he put them claws in you and he start biting down, just a fraction of a bite can cause you some serious injuries, bro. No.
Austin Hatfield. Florida teenager Austin Hatfield found a cottonmouth near his Wimorma home in 2014 and decided,
no way, you are not gonna tell me somebody just found, no way,
that it would be his new pet. Even though the snake possessed a deadly venomous bite, 18-year-old Hatfield kept it in a pillowcase in his room. According to his best friend, Jason Belcher, the teenager would kiss the snake on its head and mouth, completely disregarding the dangers to which he was exposing himself. Cottonmouths are known to be somewhat skittish in nature, but will readily defend themselves if they feel threatened. On a Saturday night, the snake slithered out of the pillowcase, across Hatfield's stomach and off the bed. As the teen tried to recapture it, he was bitten. Belcher was in the kitchen when Hatfield walked in and asked to be taken to the hospital immediately. He was in critical condition on arrival, but was treated with antivenom and eventually stabilized. It was reportedly illegal for Hatfield to have the cottonmouth at his home, since keeping venomous snakes require special permits. Number 8. Vladimir. In 2015, a 21-year-old Russian man identified by his first name as Vladimir was killed by the king cobra he'd kept as a pet. The incident took place at the man's apartment in the city of Tolyatti. It was there that, aside from the cobra, Vladimir also kept a green mamba and a red spitting cobra. His social media featured numerous pictures of him and his venomous pets. His girlfriend, Anna, claimed that he'd like to play with the snakes and wasn't afraid of them. She was in the apartment when Vladimir was bitten by the cobra. The animal had reportedly attacked him as he was trying to feed it. Anna immediately called an ambulance, but there was nothing more that the paramedics could do for him when they arrived at the residence. Within minutes of the bite, Vladimir had passed away in Anna's arms. Number 7.
Come on, y'all. Got me looking around the floor. Got me feeling trying to make sure nothing ain't slithered in here on me, man. Like, no, bro. Don't do the snakes, and definitely not a venomous snake. These dudes kissing on them, knowing they venomous, bro. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Who raised y'all? You gotta ask people that sometimes. Who raised you?
Mikhail Prasek. 33-year-old Mikhail Prasek kept 2 lions, a male and a female, in the back of his home in the village of Zdekov, Czech Republic. He didn't have a license for the animals, which he'd been breeding illegally and housing in cages of his own design. In spite of multiple fines and concerns expressed by local residents, Prasek refused to relocate his exotic pets or to allow anyone representing local authorities onto his property. They were at an impasse because there was no evidence of animal cruelty, and keeping the lions wasn't outright illegal due to a lack of alternative facilities in the country. Prasek made headlines in 2018 when he was out walking his lioness on a leash and a cyclist crashed into it. The cyclist suffered some scratches that required treatment, and local authorities at the time deemed it a traffic accident. In 2019, Prasek's father found him in the pen of his 9-year-old male lion. He had been fatally mauled, and the pen was reportedly locked from the inside. Police were called to the scene and shot both lions, an action they deemed had been absolutely necessary in order for them to retrieve
And see, this is what makes me mad, because the lion's only doing what he knows to do. You know what I'm saying? He just doing his innate instinct as a lion. He's, you know what I mean? They play, they hunt, they're aggressive. They're just being themselves, bro. So it sucks that you got to hear that a lion had to show up, shoot him. That's why we don't need to be. This is wrong, bro. It's wrong. It is super, super wrong. And they shouldn't have to die because somebody felt that they can keep them as a pet.
Prasek's body. A local news outlet reported that the lioness was pregnant at the time.
Wow.
Number 6. Dean Armstrong. In August of 2012, a man from Cambridge, England, nearly died after he was stung by his pet scorpion. Dean Armstrong had grown up surrounded by exotic animals, as his father had owned a zoo in the 1960s. Since his late teens, Armstrong had started his own collection of reptiles and arachnids. He was in his early 40s when he got Sue the scorpion from a local pet shop. The owners had had trouble selling her because she only had one pincer, which meant that she struggled to hold food. Armstrong was trying to feed her a cricket when Sue whipped her tail over. The man had been stung or bitten by his pets numerous times, but remembered at that moment feeling fear for the first time. Within a minute of being stung, Armstrong collapsed. Fortunately, he was almost immediately discovered by his cleaner, who called the emergency services. He was rushed to Whipps Cross Hospital in East London, where he received a blood transfusion meant to flush the venom out of his system. When he woke up, he was paralyzed on the right side of his body and he couldn't speak. Armstrong was relieved about an hour later when the effect had passed, not knowing that it was only the beginning of his ordeal. The venom had severely damaged his pancreas, and weeks later, he was in surgery to have the organ drained of the toxins. Another year passed before he suffered further complications from the initial sting, when a cyst broke in his stomach and he started vomiting blood. Armstrong underwent life-saving surgery. When he came to, doctors told him that they'd removed his stomach, gallbladder, half his pancreas, and some intestines. Even though he'd have to carry a colostomy bag around for the rest of his life, Armstrong felt fortunate to have survived. Number 5.
This stuff you don't think about. He ain't think when he got that the scorpion that he'd be stomachless later. We don't think further down the road, man. All we think about is right now. These pets, exotic, shiny new toy, just me. I got it. Now I can flaunt it in front of everybody. Bro, did you hear everything they removed out of him, bro? His insides is hollow. No stomach, no gallbladder, no half of a pancreas. I don't even know how you do that. And intestines, bro. Like, he got some lungs and a spinal cord. That's about it.
5. Sharon Miller. In the late 1990s, Sharon Miller purchased a tarantula that her 8-year-old daughter had wanted from a Lake Forest pet shop in California. Miller knew that it could bite, but that the venom, barring a severe allergic reaction, generally had very low toxicity toward
Venom, very low toxicity, right? But what if you get bit multiple times? What does that equal?
Barring a severe allergic reaction, generally had very low toxicity towards humans. However, she was completely unaware of a second and arguably more effective defensive response. The woman reached into the spider's cage to clean it, but suddenly felt discomfort in her eyes. As she rubbed them, they became red and extremely painful. She compared the sensation to having burning grains of sand in her eyes. What the pet store had reportedly failed to tell her was that when faced with larger attackers, tarantulas will flick their hind legs forward and fling hairs from their abdomen into the air. The arachnids can be quite precise in directing their attack. The hairs aren't soft, but more like minuscule barbs that are meant to affect their target's sight. Miller was left with blurred vision after several of the tarantula's hairs got lodged in her right eye. She subsequently sued the pet shop for medical expenses and emotional distress, arguing that they'd failed to warn her about the dangers of owning the exotic pet. Number 4. Norman Buwalda. In 2010, Norman Buwalda, chairman of the Canadian Exotic Animal Owners Association, was fatally mauled by a massive tiger he'd kept at his property in Southwold, Ontario. Nobody witnessed the attack, which claimed 66-year-old Buwalda's life. A family member who'd found his mangled remains was able to lock the 650-pound Siberian male in a separate portion of the cage. When officers arrived at the scene, it was visibly agitated, pacing back and forth in its enclosure. It hadn't been the first attack to occur on Buwalda's property. A few years prior, in 2004, a person from Toronto suffered severe head and neck injuries after being mauled by one of his tigers. They survived and recovered with treatment. Southwold's deputy mayor told a media outlet that the township had lost the case that would have forced Buwalda to get rid of his exotic pets. In a dark, ironic twist, one of the animals that he'd fought so hard to keep ultimately ended his life. The
661-pound pet tiger. If he felt like he wanted to smack you, what was you gonna do about it? If he felt like he wanted to just throw his body weight up against you, what are you gonna do with a 661-pound pet tiger? Huh? Reason with him? Hope he understand you? I blame Dr. Dolittle, man. That movie came out so long ago, and it made you feel like pets and animals and different things were your friends and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm starting to blame some of these movies they let us watch as a kid, bro.
Fate of the tiger remains unclear. Number 3. Daniel Brandon. On August the 25th of 2017, Englishman Daniel Brandon was killed by his pet African rock python at his family's home near Basingstoke in North Hampshire. The 31-year-old had owned the 8-foot serpent, named Tiny, since she was small enough to fit in his hand. In the wild, an African rock python will use its formidable strength to constrict antelopes, monkeys, and even small crocodiles, which it then devours whole. Brandon kept several other snakes and was never scared of Tiny, according to his mother. However, she reported that the snake would sometimes lash out at her when she entered the room. On the night of Brandon's death, the woman remembered a thud coming from his room, but thought that he'd knocked something over or dropped a piece of fitness equipment. She later found him unresponsive and tiny, coiled under a cabinet. A coroner ruled without doubt that Brandon had died from asphyxiation following contact with the python. Today's topic was requested by Fawn and In Case of Rain.
And I don't even like the picture of them curling up, because I've always heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I've always heard about them curling up next to you, trying to size you up to be able to eat you. Like, I don't like this picture here, bro. Like, you laying up beside, you think it's playing with me, coo. What if it's sizing you up, bro? Meal later. You look like a meal that they can just save for later. You know? Y'all know the meals you put in the refrigerator, throw a little foil over it after you eat it, put some foil, put it in there for later. That's what they was looking at. I feel as though that's what they be looking at you like. You know what I'm saying? Leftovers.
Or in a rule without doubt. Today, learn about subscribe. In 2018, a Japanese man was mauled to death by the Asian black bear he'd been hired to care for. 56-year-old Soichiro Mori had gone to the residence located northeast of Tokyo. It was there that the bear's owner, an unnamed 70-year-old man, was keeping it in an enclosure. Based on the reports of local authorities, he had the necessary permits for the bear, which stood at 4 foot 2 inches and weighed an estimated 110 pounds. Mori, who was the animal's caretaker, had entered the cage, but before long, a neighbor heard him screaming. The neighbor went to the house and found Mori severely mauled in the animal's enclosure. He was taken to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Number 1. Paul and Mandy McDonald. In 2019, an Australian couple was brutally attacked by a deer that kept at their farm in Moihu, northeast Victoria. 47-year-old Paul McDonald was feeding the wapiti, a cross between a red deer and an elk, when it unexpectedly lunged at him. His wife, 45-year-old Mandy, intervened, but sustained devastating injuries to her leg and upper body. Their teenage son witnessed the...
Oh, we gotta read this.
Sustained devastating injury.
The worst phone call. Daughter opens up about the devastating moment. She found out her dad had been mauled to death by the pet deer and mom was fighting for her life. I'm trying to see if it wasn't like the other article. This was just merely talking about the GoFundMe. Died on scene, wife taken to the hospital. Yeah, they ain't give much like the other one did.
Injuries to her leg and upper body. Their teenage son witnessed the incident and ran to get help. Police officers arrived at the scene and fatally shot the deer. Mandy survived, but Paul had been gored to death. The woman was flown to the Alfred Hospital in critical condition, and according to updates on her case, she required over a dozen surgeries on a long road to recovery. In the aftermath of the attack, wildlife authorities warned that male deer, even though they may seem docile the rest of the year, become aggressive come mating season. Thanks for watching. Would you...
Wow. Listen, bro. I'm just saying. Man, leave these wild, these exotic, leave these pets where they be, bro. You know what I mean? Get you a goldfish. Get you a goldfish, fam. Like, I feel like just, yeah, it's a lot more safer for us. You know what I mean? Stop watching Dr. Dolittle and Jungle Book. Stop showing those movies to your kids. Maybe we need to get them banned. Because it make you feel like a lot of these animals are friendly, bro. And they not. They not at all. Y'all know that feeling y'all was when y'all was little and y'all watched Dr. Dolittle or Jungle Book. Gave you a false sense of security, didn't it? It did. So listen, man, y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think, man. And if you got an exotic pet, man, keep it away from everybody you know. Only you need to be dealing with that pet, bro. Don't bring nobody else into your shenanigans, all right? Y'all get at me. Let me know what you thought of this video, man. It's your boy L. Stick around and stay tuned to the next reaction, man. I'm out. Peace. Ayy.